Hello everybody, and welcome to the Catfish bait tier list. As you can see by my jerried setup, this is going to be a little different than regular tier list videos. It's fine though, I think you know where I'm going. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I've been fishing for catfish for a while, and over the years I've used a variety of different baits. Basically, I'm going to be ranking all the baits I've used according to my experiences with them. Now, y'all who are watching, don't attack me because my home river is the Delaware River. It's only like a mile from here, and it's a pretty weird river. The catfish eat a lot of weird stuff, so don't blame me on that one. Alright, enough rambling. Now I'm going to get into the actual tier list. The first bait I'm going to be doing is bluegill. Now, surprisingly, I've only caught a few catfish on bluegill in the Delaware, but when I went to North Carolina on Lake Gaston, all they eat is bluegill. I caught like 20 catfish in there on that trip with bluegill. I think I'll give this one an A tier. Perfect. Next up is chicken livers. Now these are a classic bait. I'm sure a lot of you have used them before, but I haven't really caught that many catfish on them. I mean, I've seen people catch striper on them, which is kind of weird. But the one thing I hate about them is how you rig them up. You know, you have to like put it in the sock and like tie it, and it's like just really annoying, and I don't really like that extra step. I'll give this one a C tier. Next is live freshwater clams. Here on the Delaware River, clams have been pretty abundant in recent years, so that kind of means you could just like find them on like the riverbed, you know, just on like the bottom. In shallow water, you could pick them up. And I'm not talking about the small ones, I'm talking about the big ones. And once you find them, you could just break them open with pliers and then take the meat out and just put it on the hook. It works great. Overall, it's a pretty decent bait, but the one problem is it's kind of flimsy. But it still gets a lot of catfish, so I'm giving it an A tier. Our next bait is bacon. Now, bacon's kind of weird. It could be good and it could be bad, depending on what kind of bacon you buy. But I mean, overall, it works okay. I'll give it a B tier. Next up is bagels. S tier. Let me explain something to you guys real quick. I've caught more catfish on bagels than probably any other bait. Actually, nah. I don't really know, but they work really good. Especially here on the Delaware. They're one of the best baits you can ask for. It's got that doughiness that catfish like, and all the seeds and stuff on it, all the seasoning. It draws them in better, and it will make them want to eat it even more. But remember, if you're going to use bagels, they have to be everything bagels or cranberry raisin bagels. Next up is lures. Now, usually when you're using lures, like, you're not really targeting catfish because they don't eat lures that much. But, I mean, every once in a while you can catch a catfish on a lure. Sure, it's not conventional, but, I mean, they work all right. I'll just give it an E tier. Next up is eel. On the Delaware, there are tons and tons and tons of eels, so you can imagine they're pretty good bait for catfish. Small live eels or large frozen chunked eels are actually pretty good. This one will get an A tier. The next bait is going to be the stuff that's usually at large sporting outlets, and they're usually in like cans or bags like this, and they're some kind of just like weird, gross mixture. Now, these things are more gimmick than like an actual decent bait, and I have never caught a catfish on them, and a lot of people say they're pretty bad too, so that'll be our first F tier. Next up is shrimp. Raw shrimp. Now, I don't use shrimp too often, but I mean, it'll work in a pinch. C tier. Next is hot dogs. Hot dogs are a classic catfish bait, and most of the catfish I've seen caught have been on hot dogs. I'm pretty sure the biggest catfish I've ever caught was on a hot dog. Overall, pretty solid bait. It'll get an A tier. I know this is pretty weird and unexpected, but cooked chicken. I remember me and my friend wanted to go fishing, but we didn't really have any bait. So, you know, we were at a party and they had a rotisserie chicken. So we just took a piece of rotisserie chicken off and went night fishing. We got a 3-pounder on it, I think. Other than that, it's not that great, so I'm going to give it a D tier. Our final bait is going to be worms. Worms are probably the most universal freshwater fishing bait in the history of existence. So, of course they'll catch catfish. I've caught a great amount of catfish on worms, but I feel like I've caught a lot more smaller ones on them. But overall, it's pretty good, so I'll just give it a B tier. Here is our completed tier list. I think it's pretty good. You can kind of notice a pattern here. Like we have the bluegill, the clams, and the eel. And they're all A tier because they live in the same ecosystem as the catfish. So that would be a catfish's normal diet. So it makes a lot of sense. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. Until next time.